What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tactical Friday. And you heard from him this past Monday, and I am pleased to be welcoming Glenn Lundy right back onto the show to share some of his tactics. Glenn, welcome back, my friend.
What up, what up, what up? Glad to be back, man.
Man, I'm excited about this because it's something that we didn't touch on Monday. And I want to brag on this piece because it's one of those impressive things. And I think you're a humble dude where you're probably not going to brag on it too much. So I have to stand back and be like, yeah, man, that's freaking impressive. There's a recent thing that you kind of competed in along the Grant Cardone world where you're in the speaker competition and you got on stage, which is terrifying enough as a speaker to speaker. Dude, there's a lot that goes into that, but you got on like a massive stage. Can you give a little bit of insights about what that was for the audience before we dive into the tactics you learned from it?
Yeah, so, the Cardone organization, they did the Greatest Speaker in America competition. So very similar to American Idol or America's Got Talent, that type of thing. There was 27,000 people.
Only 27,000, yeah.
27,000 people that competed. And I won the whole freaking thing, bro. Number one, the greatest speaker in America. So I got to speak on stage at the 10X GrowthCon in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, dude, the same arena where Mike Tyson used to fight and all that stuff, man. I got to speak on that stage in front of, I guess like 10,000 people in person, plus another 50,000 online or something like that, man. It was awesome.
Man, that's why I had to brag on that point. I wasn't going to let it go without talking about that because, dude, it's an impressive thing, man. I've been a speaker for 5-6 years now because I saw it as an avenue for business development, getting your expertise out there. No different than a podcast, right? I talk about getting on stages, a virtual stage through a podcast, a stage like that. That's a massive stage. I've started hosting events, and I know you do a lot of training sessions, workshops, seminars, stuff like that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what are the tactics when you're trying to get your mind right? And this goes from everything we talked about, your 8 pillars on Monday, to feeding that energy forward into a room of people, whether it's 30 or 10,000. It's a ton of people, dude. In front of 10,000 people, right? What are your like tips attached to putting yourself out there to that capacity?
Yeah, so I think really where it starts, Zach, it's interesting. I used to want to go out and tell people something, teach people something, right? I used to have this desire, like, hey, listen to me. This is how it needs to be. And what I've discovered over time is stages is really about sharing something within you, right? It's more for you than it is. The best speakers in the world speak through their lessons that they are learning and experiencing, and others, it shines on others. Does that make sense? Elizabeth Gilbert, she wrote a book called Big Magic. And in that book, she was also she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She wrote that book.
Yep.
And in the book, Big Magic, she says, please don't write a book to save me. I don't need saving. Write a book to save you, right? And so speaking on stage for me has always been about elevating my existence and gaining continued clarity. So when you speak on a subject or a topic, you have to really know it, right? Because you're exposed, bro.
Oh yeah.
You're up there in front of, I was up there in front of 10,000 people live with a clock ticking down that was gonna buzz like crazy if I wasn't an absolute expert on that stage. And so what the stage did is it made me better, right? Versus now through doing that, it made a massive impact. I had people come up to me after, people in tears. I had the whole arena in tears. It was an incredible experience. But that's the tactic that I would love to share people is don't go out thinking you're going to save the world. Instead, go in and figure out what it is that you need to learn or that you have learned that saved you,
Mm.
and share that. And that will get you more stages and create a bigger impact.
Bro, I love that piece because it's not only is it 100% true, especially when you're giving like that keynote, right? And you're really integrating life lessons into your own experiences. It allows you to speak from the heart, right? It allows you to speak from that, like, hey, this is what I did, what I used, the tactics I used to get out of this bad spot, or the thing I learned that shifted my dynamic, because it makes it more relatable to people. And so
Right.
many people are like terrified to share that darkness that we've all lived, right?
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing, man. It's a scary thing, but
It can be.
it's
It can
hugely
be.
impactful,
Yeah.
man.
Look
I
at
love
look at Grant. You mentioned Grant
Yep.
Cardone. So Grant Cardone wrote a book called 10X.
Yep.
10X is the book that took Grant from being basically very well known in the automotive space, but the rest of the world had no idea who he was, to being a fairly well known figure at this point, and now he's worth $4.6 billion or whatever. Right. That book 10X, he wrote that after 2008. He almost lost everything. He got screwed by a partner, and his wife went to him and was like, dude, what are you going to do? And he went and locked himself in a room. And Elena was freaking out, thinking, oh my gosh, what happened to him? He locked himself in a room. And on the other side, he came out with 10X. It was for him. He wrote that book for him to solve his problem. And now that book has been distributed all over the world in millions of different languages and has made a massive impact in all kinds of other people's lives. And so to me, that's a perfect example. Like, create that which you need to elevate self and share that with the world.
And I've actually had a conversation or two with Elena. Never chatted with Grant. We've talked about that, but I had a conversation with Elena where there's something about a powerful woman that can put a boot in a man's ass. And I apologize for the language, but this is where everybody, we're out here at, I did some business out here in Austin this weekend, brought Taylor with me. And dude, these people that have never, they know me, they know my background, they know all the stuff I'm doing, right? And I did the SWAT stuff, I did, deploy the Green Berets, I've done some shit, right? And they all look at her and like, she's the one that's going to keep you in line. You better lock her down quick. And so I feel like Elena is very much the same way. Like having that powerful partner to really say, hey, what are you going to do? You can do it, but I'm going to hold you to accomplishing that. That's a pretty huge piece. I imagine, especially with your family, man, I'm sure it feeds forward in your world as well.
Oh yeah, dude. My wife's a freaking G, bro. She's a gangster. She'd kick my ass if I wouldn't do all the things that I needed to do. Like, my wife is legit, and she's a Proverbs 31 woman. She is she homeschools. She likes being out in her garden. My wife's just like, she's simple, right? Like, just very simple existence. But at the same time, she knows that I am capable. She knows what I'm capable of and will not let me fall short of that.
Yep. Which is terrifying, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For those of y'all who have not seen Taylor, yeah, she's not a little girl, and I think she could probably bench press me. And
Taylor's tough, bro.
man,
Taylor's tough.
I love that, man. And it's so more and more obvious in the space. A lot of this podcast has shifted. We've been doing a podcast series called From the Battlefield to the Boardroom to the Bedroom, because a lot of what I've talked about is from the battlefield to the boardroom. Now I've had her every other week. We release an episode that's that to the bedroom piece. And we talk about how the business life has integrated into our personal lives and feed both ways. And it's so many people forget how important it is to, and it goes back to your pillars, man, faith and family and fitness, having these things right are such great baseline tactics. If one will immediately impact the other. And a lot of people don't see the convergence, or they forget about how these things converge. But having a partner that can keep you accountable, brother, and put a boot in your ass when you need it, like it's huge. It's huge, and it's a really fascinating piece that I waited too long to learn, if I'm being honest. Like being selective about, you hear the quote, "You are those 5 people around you." Man, you are that person right next to you. That's the big one.
No
And I
doubt.
think too many people forget about that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. There's a powerful dynamic. There's a reason. There is a reason that the family dynamic is being attacked in this
Yep.
in this country, because a strong partnership um, leads to unlocking people's potential, right? Whereas the other is true the other way around.
Yep.
And so, we're in this society now where it's like, what is that one song? What does she say? I can buy myself flowers. I can
Old
whatever,
Miley
right? Like,
Cyrus. Yep.
yeah, like they're just attacking this whole
Yep.
dynamic, of like making it like it's a weak thing to be in a strong, trusting relationship, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason that's under attack, right? They tell us that we have to sacrifice one thing in order to have something else, and I don't buy into that
Mm-hmm.
anymore, bro. You can have it all. You can have it all if you are intentional and you invest time in all of those areas every single day. You can have it all.
Man, Glenn, I love it. Stellar info, bro. Stellar tactics. So that's the gold for me, man. Hearing tactics from people like you that are just out there crushing, and hearing how we can take those action steps and move that forward into our own lives is absolutely huge, man. And I know we mentioned it on the last show, but I want to give the audience one more opportunity. What's the best way to connect with you, find you, see more of this awesome information you're putting in the world?
Yeah, man, Glenn Lundy, just look me up. I'm all over the place. Download my ebook, morning5.com. It's free. You can download that. And yeah, let's hook up.
I
Excited to
love
get
it.
to know. Excited to get to know some of your peeps, bro.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. I think there's a lot more, hopefully, to come in the future between us, and a lot more of that content. I'll definitely throw the Morning Five into the show notes and link that over. And I encourage everybody, go check out Glenn. If you didn't check Monday's episode, go back, listen to a little bit more of his story and more of what he's doing. And overall, Glenn, I appreciate you for being here, brother, and taking the time.
Dude, are you going to do any fantasy football or anything? Do you do any of that stuff?
Man, I used to.
I
And
did
then I
too.
realized when I had like 8 teams going at once, I'm like, talk about time investment. Time investment, bro. That's like such a
You
it's
know,
it's a
I
dangerous game,
did.
brother.
I used to do a lot of fantasy football. Like when I worked in a dealership, I kind of had a set schedule. I
Yep.
would do a lot of fantasy football. Then I became an entrepreneur. Owned my own business. You don't have a set schedule anymore, and fantasy football got put to the wayside. But I was doing my audit, right? Because I audit all 8 pillars, and my friends kept coming back at a 2, bro.
Mm.
Family, great. Finances, great. Faith, great. Fitness, great. Friends, it's like, golly. And I was making a lot of excuses. I was like, well, most of my friends are like live in other states and stuff
Yep.
now, right? Like, I don't have anybody that I kick it with locally at all. And on top of that, most of my circle's traveling all over the place
Yep.
because we're all speaking at different places and so on and so forth. And so this year, I played on a softball team with some young guys, my brother-in-law and some young guys, and they had a little thread, and it was like, "Who wants to do fantasy football?" And I was like, "No wonder I don't have any friends because I
Yep.
always say no to things like this." So I'm doing it this year,
It's a trap. It's a
fantasy
trap.
football. I'm just doing one little team, one little thing on Sundays. It
Yep.
is an investment in the friends area of my audit. We'll see how it goes, but I was just curious if you were in that world or not.
Man, I used to be, and then I kept missing the waiver wire, and I was missing trades, and my dude, it's funny looking back when you said it. It's like, yeah, when I started my own business and I started traveling more, I don't even
Mhm.
watch games that much. I mean, I
Yeah.
love football, but yeah, man, it's a great piece. And Friends is one of those pillars I need to be more intentional on, because same as you, man. I travel again here in Austin, flipping around, heading to Dallas in a couple weeks and to Canada in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. It's like we're going nonstop. So that investment's a huge piece. And don't invite me to your league, bro. I don't want to lose. I don't want to
Dude,
lose.
people look at me all the time. They're like, Glenn, you're surrounded by people. You've got this community, da da da. But what they don't know, bro, it's like I spend 98% of my, that's the wrong word. 98% of the time um, throughout my day, my week, my month, 98% of the time, I'm like by myself most of the time. You know, if I'm not investing time with the wife, the kids, you know, I'm either like on a plane or I'm in a hotel room. You know, even when you speak on a stage, it's 45 minutes, an hour, you know, on the stage, maybe an hour before and an hour after that you're, you know, investing in the audience. But it's 20 hours for your like solo, you know?
Yeah, bro.
A lot, and people don't realize that. And it's been an interesting dynamic for me as I'm getting a little older, going, all right, you know, one of these days I'm gonna sell this business thing, and then who am I gonna smoke cigars with and sit in rocking chairs
For real.
if I ain't got no buddies?
It's funny, the business that brought me out here to Austin was actually and I've never done it before, and I normally would say no to it, right? But it was a dove hunt. Dove hunting is apparently huge out here,
Right?
and it's a few of the industry people, some uh, guys I know from the DoDs. One of my clients is big in the DoD space, so it's a bunch of industry partners like putting on this like sponsored dove hunt, and I'm like, nah. I'm not a dude. I grew up hunting and fishing. I'm like, nah, I don't really hunt like that. And the dude's like, nah, come on out. It'll be fun. We'll drink some bourbon, smoke some cigars, right? I'm like, all right, cool, but can I bring my girl? And they're like, absolutely. It's a family friendly event. So, dude, we land in Texas, drive to about an hour outside of Austin, and within 2 hours, I had first shot, killed a dove. Taylor's sitting
Nice.
there competitive as hell. She's like,
Right?
oh, game on for the next 3 days. She's like walking through the woods, trying to hunt down a damn dove. No, but it was one of those, man, when you can merge the two, right? Because it's a scary thought. Who are you going to drink a bourbon with? Who are you going to smoke a cigar with? You know, Tay can't smoke a cigar. She gets sick every time she tries.
Right?
Oh,
Right?
man, but it's,
Well, there's an 80-year-old, you know, whether we live that long or not, or make it to that long or not, I like to think there's an 80-year-old inside of all of us. And
yeah,
what I've come to grips with is the 80-year-old inside of me does not really have any say in what his life looks like.
hmm,
Um, Now, I'm not saying you can't be 80 and go out and do something, you know, that changes the world. I'm not saying that, but on my 80th birthday, the 80-year-old in me is going to look back and either say thank you to 45-year-old Glenn, or he's going to say F you to 45-year-old Glenn, you know, based on the decisions we're making today. And so I want to set the 80-year-old up in me in a way that he doesn't have to, in a way that he not only has financial freedom and spiritual freedom, but that he finds purpose and joy through all of his days. And that requires relationships with others outside of just my wife and outside of just my kids. Because my wife and my kids, who knows? Like if I put all my eggs into one basket, if my wife passes before me, then what? Right? Like I don't want to set 80-year-old dude up that way. And so it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's like those friend relationships have value as well in the future, which I haven't thought about, which goes back to the 30 days, which goes back to how we've been indoctrinated and programmed to just run in these 30-day windows versus this long-term building. So anyways, on that note, I got Patrick Mahomes, bro, so it should be good.
yeah, I think you'll be okay. You know, don't jinx it though, because Chief fans will be enraged. Nah, man, that's awesome, brother. I appreciate you sharing that piece, man, and definitely, I think we could all do better about that in a lot of ways. So I appreciate that piece, brother. And again, overall, man, thanks for the time. I appreciate you being on
Yeah.
the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'll see you soon, I'm sure.